me start the recording and share the slides. Okay, are the slides visible?
Yes, ma'am. Visible.
So good. Thank you. So today the topic that we are going to talk about is planning. And first, I will talk about classical planning called deterministic planning. Also, it is symbolic planning. Now, you have already been exposed to different topics in artificial intelligence. For example, you must have gone through search. And planning is somewhat similar to search with different semantics, as I will, the way we will cover planning, that I will explain. Now, planning is to, suppose one has to, plan that you are in a situation, in a current situation, and you have a goal to be achieved. And planning means finding out a sequence of tasks or sequence of actions that will lead you to the goal. And there are various examples of situations where planning can be used. For example, navigation of an autonomous robot or an autonomous vehicle, uh, the process of designing in manufacturing, how to control a process, how to design the assembly line, military operations, machining tasks, how to assemble mechanical objects. So any task where there is a sequence of actions are required in order to achieve a given task. That is where planning can be applied. And the type of planning that we will discuss today is in line with the logic-oriented tradition of artificial intelligence. So in this course, you have been learning about logic, propositional logic, first order logic, theorem proving, and so on. And as we will see, the way we formulate the planning problem, we take into account, we describe it through such logical formula. Now, so in the type of planning that we are looking at now, so we have a logical description of the world states. So as we know that, as you have already learned when we have gone through search problems and others, there is a state space that you are concerned with. So if you recall the search problem, there's a state space. You are in an initial state. There is a description of the goal state, and you want to find a set of actions that lead you to a goal state. So in the case of this planning type of problem that we will describe, the states will be described logically. Then there are actions which will also be described logically. Then there is the initial situation and the initial state and the goal condition which has to be satisfied, which is the objective of the agent. And we have to find a sequence of actions or a plan to go from the initial situation to a situation where the goal conditions hold. So in classical planning, we assume the following, that the environment is fully observable. The world is deterministic. That is, when you take an action, the result of that action is deterministic. The world is static, and we are looking at a discrete state space. Now let's look at an example of a plan. Suppose you have a robot and you want the robot to make tea for you. So these are some steps that the robot has to follow. Put water in the kettle, heat the kettle, get a cup, pour hot water into the cup, get a tea bag, leave the tea bag in the water for some time, remove the tea bag, add milk, add sugar, stir until mixed. So this is a sequence of actions to achieve the plan of making tea. Now, you may notice that some of these actions, let us say get a cup, itself may involve a plan. For example, the robot has to move to the cupboard, open the cupboard door, grasp a cup, take it out of the cupboard, close the cupboard. And even for this, suppose grasp a cup, depending on the structure of the robot, it might have to do a series of, mechanical actions there on the hinges, etc., in order that these actions can be performed. Now, in addition, there may be some exceptional situations for which a sub-plan has to be generated. For example, there is the step add milk. So if there is no milk, then the get milk action may be triggered, and a plan has to be found in order to get milk. Then some actions might fail. For example, the cup. So, get a cup. While getting the cup from the cupboard, the cup could slip and fall to the floor, and the robot has to retrieve the cup from the floor, etc. And then there is also this, how long you should leave the tea bag into the water, and how hot should the water become before you put the tea bag. So there are various situations where it requires sensing and timing. Then there's another example in dialogue planning. So a dialogue is a conversational agent which interacts with a human. And in order to design a dialogue system, the system must have a planning, because dialogue is not a one-off question answer. So based on the task that the system wants to perform, it has to plan how the dialogue would be carried around. Now let us look at a very simple domain, which is also one of the classical domains where AI planning was applied. So this is the blocks world domain. So what we have is, we have a table, and there are various blocks, colored blocks or blocks which are named. Let us say this is block A, this is block B, this is block C. Now there is a robot arm. So there's a robot who has an arm, and the arm can pick up a block or put down a block, right? And there are certain conditions. So an arm can pick up a block which is clear, there's nothing on top of it. So the arm can pick up A at this configuration, but cannot pick up B. And the arm can pick up only one block at a time. And the arm can put a block down on top of another block or on the table. And let us also assume that the table is large enough to it can accommodate any number of blocks. Now, involving this blocks world domain, so you might want to go from one configuration of blocks to another configuration. We want to study how to use logic to represent this world and how to find a plan. And in order to do this, you have to come up with a representation of the states, of the actions, of the goals, and the transitions, the state transitions. So in classical planning, we have an object representation and clear action definitions. And we will see. So this is an example of a specification of a planning problem. This is a starting state, which is depicted in this figure here. So we have A, which is on the table, B, which is on the table, and C is on top of the A. And this is a desired state. This is a goal state where we want that C is on the table, B is on top of C, and A is on top of B. And the objective is to find a sequence of actions to go from the start state to the goal state. Now, how is this problem different from search? I mean, first of all, it is also a search problem, but we are going to look at it in a logic-based representation. So instead of, is there a question? If there's a question, please tell, or you can put it on the chat box. So the difference between how we are going to look at this problem is that instead of in a search problem, we will say that, this is a state, this is another state. We will look at as atomic states, right? And we can look at, the state space would comprise of all different configurations of the given set of blocks. However, in this condition that we are going to look at, the states are described by logical formula, right? So we want to come up with a set of objects and a set of predicates or propositions, and we are going to describe a state as a conjunction of such propositions or predicates. Similarly, for the operators or actions, we are also going to represent this in a logical form by showing when an action can be performed and what is the effect of the operation. Similarly, goal conditions can also be logical formula. Now, why consider this sort of logical form, and why go beyond search that you have looked at? One of the reasons is that, suppose there is a robot and there is a lot of choice of actions, right? There's a huge choice of actions. And if you really want to generate the search space, the branching factor may be potentially very large, right? And exploring the state space will take a long time, right? So if the branching factor is very large, the search will become very inefficient. However, the sort of actions that the agent needs to do depends on the goal that the agent has to achieve. So instead of exploring the search space, we have to explore how to reach the goal. Now, you could also think of having the search space expanded from the goal situation, right? Given the goal, you can try to find what action would have achieved the goal and go backward. So it is possible to do forward search or backward search, but we also want to look at algorithms which are much more efficient in the presence of large branching factors. Now, when we are going to specify a planning problem, as we said that we are going to look at objects and propositions or predicates, right? And if we want to specify the planning problem in different software systems, there are different planners available. So some languages have been developed based on this. The original planning language called STRIPS was used by the Stanford Research Institute problem solver. And then some variations, some generalizations people have come up into ADL, which stands for Action Description Language, and a variation of that, which is PDDL, which stands for Planning Domain Definition Language, right? And this is this is the most popular planning language, which is used in many planning softwares. Now, let us look at, I will not go into the detail of STRIPS and PDDL, but you can look up at the manual of PDDL. But let us look at, some problems and how they are represented in this type of language. So, a state of the world is represented as a conjunction of propositions, right? So it can be conjunction of, in the STRIPS, there is the restriction that these propositions must be positive propositions. Positive, grounded, that is, if there are variables in the predicates, those variables have specific value. So positive, grounded, function-free literals, right? This is how a state of the world is represented in STRIPS. As an example, at home and is at umbrella home and can be carried umbrella and is umbrella umbrella and hand empty and dry. This is the definition. This is one, this describes a particular state. Now, in order to describe state, you can use propositions such as hand empty, dry, or you can use predicates but those predicates, the arguments must be grounded. However, strips does not allow this type of propositions. It does not allow negations. You cannot say not at home. You cannot say at X, where X is a variable. You cannot say at bedroom of home because it uses the function. So the strips planner only allows the state to be represented as conjunction of positive ground function free literals. But while it does not allow negation, it follows the closed world assumption. That is, a state is specified by a set of literals, and anything that is not mentioned is assumed to be false. Okay. So this is in the strips language. There are other languages which allow negative literals. For example, in PDT. Is this clear? Any question? Is this okay with everybody?
Ma'am, can you explain the ground thing a bit more? Like, I am not understanding what ground is.
Suppose, let us say at home, right? Now, suppose at is a predicate, and that predicate takes an argument, and let us say X is a variable, right? At X means it is not ground, but if I say at school, then X takes the value of school, where school is an object. So this is a grounded proposition. Is this clear?
Okay, ma'am.
Means there is no variable. You have predicates which have arguments, or you say, if you look at is at umbrella home. So the general predicate is at X, Y, right? Where X and Y are variables. So you cannot say the state has is at X, Y. You have to give specific values. Right? You can say is at umbrella home and is at John home, or is at book home. So you have to, or is at boys school. So you have to give specific objects. Is it okay? But because you want to describe precisely and unambiguously a state.
Yes, ma'am, I understood. Thank you.
So it has to be grounded, and no function is allowed. So this is the restriction of the strips language. And strips also does not allow negative literals, but it says everything that is not mentioned is not there. You can assume it's negation. All the positive things are mentioned. Okay, if there's any other question, please tell, otherwise we'll move on. Now, let us see how you can represent an action. So suppose this is an action, fly. So in general, we can say that fly has three arguments, WHI, LNK, OHA. Here we are putting it ground, but in general, we can say fly X, Y, Z. And then in order for this action, this action cannot be taken everywhere. In order that this action has to be taken, then the following preconditions must hold. At WHI LNK, plane WHI, WHI is a plane, LNK is an airport, OHA is an airport. Only if these four conditions are satisfied, then this action can be taken. And after this action is taken, what is the effect of this action? The effect of this action is this new proposition is added at WHI OHA. This is a new proposition which is added, and this proposition at WHI LNK, which was true earlier, will be deleted. So this is added and this is deleted. And the rest of the propositions which where true earlier will continue to hold. So an action is specified by its preconditions, conditions under which the action can be taken, and its effect. Effect in the strips comprises of two lists. Add list comprises of the propositions which are to be added after the action is executed, and the delete list comprises of those propositions which have to be removed. So in general, you can say fly is an action which has three variables, p, from, to. The precondition is that p is a plane p, at p from, p is at location from is an airport, to is an airport. And the effect is at trip at p2. So p will now be a 2 and at p from will be deleted. Is it okay? So an action is specified by its preconditions, which is a conjunction of propositions, and its effects, which comprises of add, those propositions which are to be added and those which are to be deleted. Is it clear? Now let's take another example. This is an action take object. It has two variables, two arguments, location x. So what are the preconditions? Hand empty, can be carried x, at location, is at x location. So let us say a robot has to take an object x from the location. So the robot's hand has to be empty. X must be an object which the robot is able to carry. The robot is at location and x is also at location. So in the effect, if we say not something, it means that that proposition has to be removed from the state. So the effect of this action is holding x. So when the robot executes the action take object location x, the effect is the robot is holding x, hand empty will have to be deleted, and is at x location has to be deleted. And this can be specified by not and empty, not is at x location. So this is how this action is represented. So these are two other actions and you can go through that. So walk with umbrella, location 1, location 2, UMBR. Precondition is at location 1, holding umbrella, is umbrella. Effect is at location 2 and not at location 1. And walk without umbrella, precondition is at location 1, effect is at location 2, not at location 1, and not try. So these are some examples of actions. Suppose, now let us look at a goal. So a goal is expressed as a conjunction of propositions which have to be achieved. Suppose the goal is at work and drive. So these are the two sub-goals. So conjunction of these have to be achieved. And suppose the initial state is at home and is at umbrella home and can be carried umbrella and is umbrella, hand empty, drive. So this is the initial state. And these are two of the actions, take object, home, umbrella, and walk with umbrella, home, work, umbrella. Okay. Now take object, home, umbrella. For this, we have already seen what has to be satisfied, and walk with umbrella, what has to be satisfied. So we can find out that these two actions take object home umbrella and walk with umbrella home work umbrella, if these two actions are executed, then this goal can be achieved starting from the initial state. Right? So what is the goal? At work and drive. So suppose the first action, suppose this is the first action the robot takes from the initial state, take object home umbrella. As a result, what happens is that all these propositions get carried over and new ones are added or deleted. For say, take object home umbrella, what is added? Holding umbrella is added. Okay. And what is deleted? So if the first action is take object home umbrella from the initial state, how will, so this is my initial state, let us say S0. So S1 is obtained from S0 by copying S0 and adding something and deleting something. So what is being added? Holding umbrella is added. What is deleted?
Hand empty.
And is that umbrella home?
Hand empty is deleted. Is that umbrella home is deleted. Good, thank you. So by these two modifications, this is my new state S1. Now at state S1, the second action taken by the robot is walk with umbrella, home work umbrella. Now if this action is executed, how is S1 changed?
At work is added and at home is deleted.
And at home is deleted. Okay. So this is this is an example of a plan, and you see at this state S2 has many propositions, but these two propositions at work and drive both are true. Therefore, we can say that the goal has been achieved. Okay. So in classical planning, we have a set of states, S. Actually, states can be described by a conjunction of formula. We have an initial state S0. We have a description of the goal state. We have a set of actions, and we can have costs associated with the actions, just like in search. Now, let us come to the blocks world and look at some examples. So as we have already said that the state of the world, the initial state is a state, and the state can be represented as a conjunction of propositions which are grounded, positive, function free. So suppose we want to express this state. So we say that not this state, in general in this blocks world where we have three objects A, B and C. So these are the possible propositions: block A, block B, block C. On table is a predicate, and on table can take the different objects. Since there are three objects, we can enumerate them: on table A, on table B, on table C, clear A, clear B, clear C, arm empty. Right? So these are some propositions. And one particular situation we can identify what are the propositions which are true in that situation. Now, these propositions, we can say A is a block, we can say that is a proposition, but in order to make the propositions compact to understand, we can generalize the propositions with variables, even though in a particular situation, for a particular state, when we describe it, we have to ground it. So these are our proposition templates: X, block X, on X, Y, clear X. Now suppose this is a given state. How do we represent this state? Block A, block B, it's a conjunction of propositions. Block A, block B, block C, on CA, on table A, on table B, clear C, clear B. So this is a description of this state. So similarly, for this state, how do we, how do we represent this state? We still have block A, block B, block C. On block AB, on table B, clear A, and earlier we had on table C. Now we will have in hand C because the robot hand has gripped C. Now the goal also can be, as we have said, goal is defined by a conjunction of propositions. For example, we want that A is on top of B, B is on top of C. So we can express this by this goal on block AB, on block BC, and of that. And as we have already told, operators change the state by adding and deleting propositions. For operators, we have preconditions, and actions can be applied only if all the precondition predicates are true in the current state. So given the description of a current state and given the possible actions which are available to you, we can see for which actions the preconditions are possible. Preconditions are there, and with, so actions, as we saw, action template, let us say move X, Y, or move plane X, Y, right? So this action is represented by variables, but when we check for preconditions, because a given state, it has only grounded propositions. So we have to, we have to see when we execute an action, these have to be grounded. So given that previous state, we have to find out for, so maybe multiple move PXY is possible from this state. For example, if the, suppose there's a plane which is in Kolkata airport, you can move from Kolkata to Delhi or Kolkata to Lucknow or Kolkata to Bangalore, right? So multiple actions may be possible, but each action is, when you specify, you ground the values of P, X, and Y. And when you take the action, you can figure out what are the new propositions which have to be added and which propositions have to be deleted. So this change has to be, is the semantics of the action. So this gives you the state transition. Suppose, this is a state, and in this state, pickup C will give rise to this new state. So pick up block C from table. So this is an action, and based on this action, the state will, we can see how the logically the state will change, and pictorially this is what is going to happen. So this is this initial state, hand empty, on table B, on table C, on block AB, clear A, clear C. When you execute the action pick up block C from table, what will happen is that on table C will be deleted, hand empty will be deleted, right? So in hand C will be added, and on table B, on block AB, they will continue to hold. Clear A, clear C will continue to hold. And so this is the state. So delete hand empty, delete on table C, add in hand C. So this is added, and these two are deleted from the previous state. And therefore, for this action we can specify by the preconditions, hand empty, clear C, on table C. This is the preconditions of the action, and the effects is add in hand C, delete hand empty, and on table C. And we can also generalize this action with variables. So in hand block, precondition in hand block. So if you say put down block, put down block, this is the initial state and this is the new state. So precondition is in hand block and effect is after put down. The effect is hand empty on table block and you delete in hand block. Okay. Right. So the question is, why do we not need to check if not hand empty is true? Can you answer this question?
Because of the closed world assumption.
Right, because of the closed world assumption, yes. But yeah, so we have added a positive proposition in hand block, and the way the action semantics are there. So in hand block means it is not, hand is not empty, and yes, and also the closed world assumption means if we are not mentioned it, it is not. Now, these are certain other operators in all the operators in the block world. We have looked at, pick up block, put down block, pick up table. So we distinguish a block from a table because certain properties, and therefore we have two actions. Pick up table B means pick up a block which is sitting on top of the table, and pick up a block B which is sitting on top of a block C. Similarly, put down the block on the table and put down the block B on the top of block C. And for this four actions, we have worked out what are the preconditions, what are the add and delete risks. Okay. So go through that, and yeah, so if it is okay, we can proceed. All right.
Ma'am, I have a question.
Yeah.
Ma'am, if we have a closed world assumption, then why do we need the clear predicate? Because if we have the other predicates, does it not imply that it will be cleared?
So you can, for example, what you are saying is that suppose you have a block X, right? And if we do not have on X, Y for any Y, then if we say for all Y on X, Y is false, it means clear X. Is that what you are saying?
Yes, ma'am.
So you are right, it can be derived, but we are putting some redundancy to make the planning problem simpler. Okay, so
Okay.
if we don't make it, then we have to write this sort of logical thing. Logically you are correct, but the way we are writing the planning actions, we are not looking at these negations, right? We are making it very simple. If we did not have clear, then so then if you look at the action, this action semantics will become much more complex.
Okay, ma'am.
Right. So you are absolutely right. The clear predicate is not required logically if you use the full power of logic. But our objective is to put in the redundancy, come up with appropriate design of actions, right, with appropriate variables so that it is compact and it can be easily applied. And some of these predicates are redundant. But similarly for hand empty and in hand B, you could have said that if no in hand B is there, then hand is empty. But nevertheless, we put in both to make the planning description simpler and the plans much more practical. That is our objective. Our objective is not to get logically the minimal number of predicates. But that's a very good question. Is this clear?
Yes, ma'am. Clear.
Now, so suppose we are in a particular state, then in this state, we have to find out what are the actions which are possible. And here we can see this is a particular state. And from this state, suppose you pick up this block green, so what are the different states it can go through? So pick up, blue, right? And then put down the blue, then pick up green, put down the green on top of red. So this is the sequence of states that we get by the different actions. And in a particular state, if you want to apply pickup block C, and pickup block C has these preconditions, now you have to find out whether pickup block BC can be applied, and if so, what will be the binding of variables B and C. And there can be multiple bindings, right? So it could be that, there was another block here, the blue is on top of red. There could be another block, let us say a yellow block on top of a violet block. So there could be multiple actions which are executable with pickup with different grounded values, and all this we have to find out. So so we have, this is my current state, and in order for this to be applied, hand empty is true, and on block BC is true for on block BO. So small b equal to capital B, small c equal to capital A. And clear B, for clear capital B has to be clear, and on table G and clear G. So when you find out, so if this action is to be applied for what binding of the variables this is applied. Is it okay? And here in this case, only for one binding it is applied. It could be that multiple bindings it is applied. And these are different actions with the same template which can be taken from this state. Similarly, if you look at the action pick up table B, then you find out for this action to be achieved, hand empty is true in this state. Clear B is true for B equal to capital G. On table B is true for B equal to capital G. So the binding is small b equal to capital G for the pickup B table action. For the pickup block BC action, the binding is small b equal to capital B and small c equal to A. Is this clear? Now, given the planning problem, now let us see what is the algorithm that we could use. Very simply, we could use breadth first search or A star that we have already seen. And as you already know that breadth first search is sound, it is complete, it is optimal. Now, but the problem, as I said, the action branching can be very large. Now, as we have seen, the goal is expressed as a conjunction of propositions. Let us say goal is G1 and G2 and G3, right? So instead of looking at the entire planning problem together, let us try to first solve for one of them, let us say G1, then solve for G2, then solve for G3. That is called linear planning. So you first achieve G1, then achieve G2, then achieve G3. For example, you have to get milk and sugar from the market. First you get milk, then you get sugar. Now this is called linear planning. Linear planning has some problems. For example, sometimes achieving one can negate the effect of the other. So if you achieve G1 and then achieve G2, when you achieve G2, G1 can be undone. The second problem is that if you have to get milk and sugar, if you go to the market, buy milk, come back, and then you go to the market, buy sugar, come back, this is very inefficient. Rather, if the robot is able to carry both of them simultaneously, it can go to the market, get milk and sugar, and then come back. Okay, so this is we have already discussed. So we are going to look at a general purpose planning algorithm, where this is the planner, the input to the planner, a description of the domain, the possible actions, start state and goal state, and the output is the sequence of actions that transform the start state to the goal state. And here are some planning problems for you to work on. I will leave it to you as an exercise. I will put the slides. These are this is a goal. That the goal is to write a paper, that there's a paper and the contributor is you. And these are some actions. Learn about X, Y, have new idea X, find existing open problem X, prove theorems X, perform experiments X, write paper X. And given these actions and given some initial state, you have to find out the plan to write a paper which you have contributed. And these are some possible initial states, different. Right? And for each of the initial states, you have to find out whether there a plan exists and what is the plan. Now, I will not spend time on that. You can work on that. So as we explained, that planning can be looked upon as a graph search. Now, there are two ways of looking at the search problem. One is the state space search, which you are all familiar with. So you have a state, current state, and you look at what are the actions that you can take and what are the possible next states. And your objective is to reach a state where the goal is achieved. So planning can be looked at state space search. Another way of looking at planning is a plan space search. And this is a tradition which is used in one tradition of planning called partial order planning. However, I will not go through the details of partial order planning because it's not so much used nowadays, where you have a space of plans, including partial plans, and you try to find out how to modify one plan to get to another plan. Now, for state space plan, this is an example. So suppose this is your initial state and this is your goal state, and this shows the neighboring states from the given state. And in this case, you have to find the plan. And there are two types of search that you can perform. The first is forward state space search, where starting from the initial state, you find out all the actions which are executable. And for each action, you find out what is the corresponding state that you get. And then from each of those states, you find all the actions. So this is the state space graph. And you explore the state space graph through breadth first search or some other search method. So this is called progression planning or forward search. But what is usually more efficient is backward state space search, where you start from the goal that you have to achieve and you try to find out, suppose these are your goals, you try to find out what are the actions that take you to the goal. And in typical planning problems, if you start from the goal, the branching factor is smaller because you want to find out those actions whose effect is the goal. And you can explore those actions. So that is backward state space search or regression plan. Now there are other types of planners which are more, advanced or sophisticated, out of which we will describe in detail graph plan. So graph plan is a planner that converts a planning problem into a graph data structure, and they come up with a very compact data structure so that a plan can be found efficiently. And we will talk about that. A second planner which is very popular and is there in many practical planners is a planner called SAT plan. So those of you who are from computer science, you may be familiar with the satisfiability problem. So given a Boolean formula in conjunctive normal form, you have to check if the formula is satisfiable or not. Unfortunately, this is an NP-complete problem. That is, we do not know of a polynomial time algorithm yet to solve this problem. However, there are various solvers for SAT, and in most cases, though some cases of SAT are difficult, and these SAT solvers are able to solve most SAT problems efficiently. Now, SAT plan converts the planning problem. Planning problem, as you know, is given in a logical form. It can be converted or reduced to a satisfiability problem. And the satisfiability problem that you get can be given to the SAT solver, which will return a solution if it can. And then from that solution, the plan can be retrieved. So these are the two most planners which are mostly used, out of which we'll go with, we'll describe the graph plan in detail in the next class, that is today's class. And then there's partial order planning, which I will not describe, but it is also a very nice planning algorithm where you search the space of partial plans. So you start with an empty plan, which is also a partial plan, and you modify a partial plan by adding operators. And in a partial plan, plan is a sequence of actions, ordered sequence of actions. But in a partial plan, you may have some actions and you may have parallel actions, right? So, and you can go from a partial plan to a linearized plan. Right? So these are the three types of planning problems which are, planners which are most used, out of which I will discuss the graph. Any questions so far? Do you have any questions? Okay, so we can take a 5-minute break and then we will start with part 2 of today's lecture, when we will discuss graph plan. And in the meantime, if you have a question, we can discuss.